Okay, so I'll go over the course structure and the syllabus and all that stuff. If you have any questions, just stop me, okay? So here's the home screen. And this is, as a student, this is really not exactly what I see, but we'll try to go with what the students see. And so if you want to find the syllabus, you can get it from right here, or you can go to content. So content has everything, and this is very important right here, the course overview. But I'll go over the syllabus first. And of course, you can zoom in. Okay. Everybody seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. So Biochem 341. There's me. My name is Harry. Just call me Harry. The best way to get me is by email. I check it all the time. The purpose is this is a second semester of a two-semester survey of general chemistry and organic chemistry and biochemistry. So this part is the organic and the biochem. So all you need is biochemistry 141 or any general chemistry course, and you'll be ready for this course. So let's see. So yeah, make sure that you do everything in with your hawaii.edu address. I keep getting students that want to send google.com and all this kind of stuff, and it's very likely that that could be filtered out. So this is an asynchronous online course. Um, that means that you go at your own pace, except you have due dates for homework and for exams. So the lectures and instructional videos are available on the course YouTube channel, and I'll show you how to find that. And one thing, the videos are not immediately visible. You have to click on the playlist, and then you'll see the lectures and stuff. And so you'll have 3 live Q&A sessions a week. This is your first one. Here's the links for that. And obviously you found it because you're here, but the password will always be chemistry. And then in the discussions tool is like a Q&A forum. So I have it separated into like the quizzes, the homework, things like that, each chapter. If you have any questions and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you can post it there. I'll answer it. Maybe not at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I'll answer it. Maybe someone else will answer it as well, but that's open 24/7. So the course materials will be under content. I'll show you that in a minute. So we have 5 units, each with its own exam and some homework. So exams, I'm having trouble with this, but my concept is that to put the exams in quizzes. And so when you're ready to take the exam, you just open up the exam and download it, and that starts the timer. So you'll have 2 hours to complete the exam, scan it, however you're going to do that, and then load it back into, well, quizzes. I think that's going to change. I think that's going to have to go to assignments. And normally I give you 2 days to take the exam. And the exams are open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And so I'm trying to give you as much flexibility as possible because 6 weeks is a very quick course. So I'll show you where you find homework and everything. So if you don't have a scanner, you can use a scanner app on your cell phone. I've had students that are really good with just taking pictures on the with their cell phone. And I've had other students that they upload something I can't even read. So when you write on something that you're going to take a picture of, just like if you're going to scan something, you have to have dark letters, use a dark pencil or a dark pen. But I feel kind of ridiculous trying to explain technology to you guys. So there are some extra credit opportunities that apply to exam 5, which is the last exam. And you'll see how the course structure changes as we start from unit 1 to getting all the way to unit 5. The first couple of units are basically nuts and bolts, learn how things work, learn the organic chemistry of biological molecules. And then towards the last, we're talking about nutrition and disease, and there's all kinds of opportunities. You might be interested in a disease, you might be interested in some nutrition thing that you can write about and get some extra credit that apply to your exam 5. So grading obviously is going to be based upon the normal scale. Your lowest exam of the first 4 units, I'm going to count it only half as much as the other exam. That's a weighted exam formula. And the reason is some people have a hard time with organic chemistry, and then later on they figure it out. Anyway, we'll see. Up to you. So questions so far? Okay. So student participation, certification, I'm going to have to do that on July 14th. So that's like in a week from today. July 14th is also the last day to withdraw without a W. July 29th is the last day to withdraw with a W on your record. Some things about student responsibilities, some things about what we're actually studying. So what is chemistry? What is organic chemistry? What is biochemistry? So I'm hoping that you will read these. I thought this was a very clever cartoon. So here's the lecture schedule. So today's Monday. So you should be doing the review chapters, which are really a review of Lewis structures and attractive forces. So as a guy who taught organic chemistry for 10 years, and I've always taught biochemistry for the last 30-something years, what I found with organic chemistry is that the students have a hard time because they don't know how to do Lewis structures. And the first chapter I ever really wrote, not even intending to write a book, was about Lewis structures because there is an easy way to do it. And then I got hooked into it. Now, next thing you know, it's a book. Anyway, so these are review chapters. And not only will this help you draw Lewis structures and understand how organic chemistry works, but the attractive forces will also do that. And the attractive forces are what you need to understand how the physical properties are of all the organic molecules and essentially the biological molecules. So attractive forces are extremely important in biology, and they're not covered very well in most textbooks. So notice that your first homework is due on the 10th, which is Thursday. So as long as you get it in by 11:59, then that's fine. Then you see the first exam is 2 days it's available on the 15th and the 16th. Okay. Let's see. Then there's the second exam. There's the third exam. Fourth exam. Notice that I tried to do a color thing. So these blue colored chapters are in exam 4, and the black ones are in exam 5. And so anyway, any questions on this on the syllabus?
Oh, when we take our exam, will we be allowed to have a periodic table with us?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I have to go back here now. Okay, so I'm going to go through content right now. And this course overview is actually really helpful. So here's all the things that are in the gold bar on the top of your not Lamaku page. Here's what they are used for, right? Video assignment, not used. I don't know how to get rid of it. There's a lot of things about Lamaku that are not very well done. Matter of fact, to tell you the truth, I hate Lamaku. I'd much rather go back to Laulima. So under content is the overview, the syllabus, lectures, Q&A, and websites, which we'll see right here, and all the chapters and homework. So I would hope that you will read this pretty carefully. So here's how to turn in homework. You just download the homework from the assignments, do them by hand, and you upload it as a PDF back into assignments. There's already been like 2 or 3 people that have done this already. Obviously, they don't need me. The how to turn in the exams, I'm still working on this because yeah, there's an issue with putting files into the quizzes tool. And then one thing I'll say is like, I see students, they're just really cavalier about using the internet. They just trust it too much. Any internet interruption will disconnect you from Lamaku without you even knowing it. So you think you're taking the exam, but then at the exam it won't save or something like that. So if you have any problems with Lamaku, here's the link to the help desk. They're supposed to be open 24/7. Then you really need a stable connection. So here's what I do. I went to Best Buy, and for under $200, I got a battery backup, uninterruptible power supply. So even if you lose electricity, if you have your Wi-Fi stuff plugged into your battery, that's at least long enough to finish your assignments. Anyway, so table of contents, this is just this right here. There's the syllabus that we did already. There's an online survival guide, which kind of just basically tells you some things about the internet. I have had very few problems with students posting stuff that's not professional, but it's very rare. But I just thought I would put this here anyway. So here's the links to the lectures. So if you click here, this should take us to YouTube. Okay, so here's our YouTube channel. And you don't see anything. So you have to click on the playlists. So here's the Unit 5 lectures for 341, Unit 4, Unit 3, Unit 2, Unit 1. Then here's for some other courses that I teach. And one thing that I'm still really mad about is that my lectures on viruses, which are totally legit, were removed by YouTube, saying it was false information. And they wouldn't reinstate it. It really makes me mad. Then you can get RFK Jr. go out and tell all this kind of bullshit, and he's not censored. Damn it. The wrong one. Sorry. So here's the links to what we're doing now. If you're a community college student, you might be able to use tutor.com. I don't know. Here's Khan Academy, which is good. Science Geek is a website maintained by a high school chemistry teacher. It's actually pretty good. Here's some support for UH Manoa students. All the different kinds of things that are available to you, just in case you didn't know that was there. Okay. Then here's Unit 1 chapters. So these right here, wait, no, where they go? Oh, here's the review down here. Okay, so I actually want to look at the other one. So in this chapter, which is chapter 10, I go over how to do Lewis structures in quite a lot of detail. And I tell you how to do it. I'm hoping that you will do this. I've spent years trying to perfect this technique, and it works really well. But when students just try to look for shortcuts, that's the problem. And once you know how to do this, organic chemistry will be no problem for you. So the first chapter that's really in Unit 1 is on alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, alkyl halides, and aromatics. So, it's 22 pages long. But what you should do is think about organic chemistry as this way. If you're looking at a functional group, like say alcohols or something, you have naming and the structure, the physical properties, and the chemical properties. And all the chemical reactions in the course are numbered. There's 36 or 7 or 38 or something like that. And so the physical properties are basically reviewed in that chapter, but also over here. So I have a whole chapter on intermolecular attractions. So I really suggest that you read that. And then the Unit 1 homework is here. So you see the first one is due July 9th. So you can download it quite easily. Having a hard time finding a download button for you to use in quizzes is making me mad. But the homework is actually very simple. So just easy to name things, trying to get you to look at the carbon structures because that's how we name things. So you're looking for the longest continuous carbon chain. So it could be here, could be here, could be here, right? Could be here. You just got to find the longest continuous chain because that's going to be the root name. Okay. So that's about it, I guess. Of the discussions. You see, you can pose a question in here about the syllabus, about the course structure. Here's the review chapters. Here's the other chapters. Here's the homeworks. So you can post any time of the day or night. I will get an email when something is posted. So if you post a question at 3 o'clock in the morning, my computer will wake me up. Well, okay, no, not really. But I'll get to it first thing in the morning. So we did content, assignments. This is discussions. And the quizzes, I'm trying to figure out how to do this over here. I haven't been able to figure that out, but my concept is that you will come here, download a PDF, and I may put a Word file there as well. So some people like to fill it out using Word, but again, the reason why we're doing it this way is because drawing organic structures is not easy to do on a digital platform. And your grades will be here. Okay, so all the different exams and homework. Okay, and your extra credit that applies to your exam 5. And groups we won't use, and video assignment we won't use. And so that's about it. So if you're ever somewhere and you don't know quite how to navigate, just click on this bar right here and it takes you back to the home page right here. That's pretty convenient. So now, does anybody have any questions?
I had a question.
Hmm?
You're recording these uh, Q&As. Are you gonna post it in the YouTube or is it gonna be found somewhere else?
No, it'll be in the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Uh, and if things go the way they go, I probably expect that on a Wednesday, nobody will show up for the Q&A session. So there won't be a recording. It's really interesting how online courses have morphed over the years. People don't attend online sessions. They're just too busy or don't care, or I don't know what it is.
On those other date, like from now on, the Q&A sessions, is it we bring you questions or do you ever have stuff to share during that time?
Well, they're designed to, question and answer.
Okay.
So they're not designed, for me to repeat the lectures. But yeah. So
Okay.
if you have any questions about anything, yeah, you can, bring it to the Q&A. Or if it's not a convenient for you, then just post it your question in this discussions tool. You'll get your question answered.
Thank you.
So, so any other questions? I have a lot of questions. So one thing I really haven't updated these chapters for a year. And I usually teach this twice a year, but now I've only been teaching it once a year, and I've been so busy with converting into Lamaku and all this other stuff that I haven't had much chance to upgrade the chapters. The early chapters probably don't need it. The later chapters on diseases and DNA and stuff like that, the immune system, there's constant upgrades that needed to be done. And I haven't been able to do it, but I'll try. So are any of you here today, are you like nutrition majors?
I am a dietetic major.
Oh, okay. Yeah, two very good friends of mine are retired from that department. I see
From
them.
teaching?
I'm sorry?
From teaching in the department?
Yeah, they both retired. Joni Dobbs and Alan Tichenal, they both retired. But I see them every Friday. We talk a lot about trends in nutrition and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a very interesting field, and there's so much misinformation.
Yeah.
It's turning into all misinformation. And like what these companies do, these nutraceutical companies, what they do is they publish their own stuff and pretend like it's research. And it's not really research, it's just stuff that supports their salesmen. And and then you have all this AI stuff that searches everything on the internet, and then it treats that fake information just like if it were real good information. Then you got RFK Jr., who's like, just totally into the nutraceuticals, and they're basically shutting down all the organizations that are meant to protect the consumers from these types of scams. And one of the reasons why I say that is because my son and all of his friends, they're like early 40s, but they were all MMA type fighters and all into that kind of stuff. And they just think nutrition is the most important thing. And they ask me questions, and I'm like, wow, where did you hear that? And it's like, oh, my friend. Well, where'd your friend hear that? Oh, my other friend. And ultimately it comes down, they saw it on Instagram or something like that.
I'm excited to get to the nutritional chapters for biochemistry.
One interesting thing, there's only about 40 real nutrients that you need. And this data is old. It basically came from World War II and post-World War II, when we were sending Americans all over the world, and they were experiencing nutritional problems. So they had to figure out, well, what do our soldiers need? And but all that old data is essentially looks like it's being scrubbed from the internet by the government. I don't know. We're kind of worried about it. But all that information from a long time ago, it was really good information. And the other thing I find is that, students come in and they believe that food is some kind of medicine. And actually, food is not medicine. Food is just sustenance. And I mean, there are certain things that you need, like folic acid is, if you're pregnant and those kind of things. But, I have friends that are like into nutrition and everything, but they get everything from the internet. And I have to point out why, find them research to show them that it's not effective, because then you have other people that, tell you that it's effective. Look at me, I'm all muscle. And yeah, that's because you're young and you work out all the time and you eat enough of the 40 nutrients that you need. It's not because you took some, you know, special nutrient from some company. But anyway, what about pre-med? Any pre-med majors? Yeah, that's kind of the issue with medicine too. Medical schools are usually almost devoid of nutritional education. I have stories that are actually pretty interesting about nutrition. I had a graduate student from India many, many years ago, And in India, she was an MD. So she was staying at the East-West Center, but because she had difficulty with the language and all this kind of stuff, and I guess not a lot of money, she just kept to herself and she made her own food. She was a vegetarian. And anyway, she started acting strange and she couldn't remember things. She started getting paranoid. I took her to the university psychiatrist, and then she ran away because she thought he was trying to deport her or something else like that. And anyway, that's paranoia, right? So unfortunately, we had to get her, what's the word? We had to get a judge to force her to go to the hospital, and then she turned out to be extremely B12 deficient because the food that she was eating didn't have B12 in it. And the food that they were eating in India apparently did have enough B12 in it. And in that part of the world, they do not take vitamins. It's very rare that you see someone from India take vitamins. So essentially, they had to send her back. And but the doctor said that, she most likely suffered permanent damage from B12 deficiency. So these kind of things can be really real. Anyway, lots of stories. The goal here is to make sure all your questions are answered. So the very first homework is due. Come on. Did I miss? Oh. It's due on the 10th. Okay, then you have one due every day. And then on the 14th, you have two of them due. Okay. So there's really no time to go to the beach. So I just want to make sure you know how fast this is going to be. So you think you folks are going to read the review chapters?
I was reading chapter 10 a little bit. I didn't get through the whole thing yet.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah. Let's see. Intermolecular attractions are so important. So intramolecular is like, bonds, things that hold, atoms together, right? So here's some energies of what it takes to break a single covalent bond, right? And then you have ionic bonds can be extremely variable, but also very, very strong. And in contrast, the intermolecular attractions are not bonds, they're just associations. So they are very weak. Okay. So here's the four kinds. Um, so if you have just say, we'll just say you have oxygen. So oxygen, as we know, is a gas, but yet you can cool it down to a certain point where it becomes a liquid. Well, if it's a liquid, there must be something holding it together, right? What are that? What is that force? Well, it's London's forces. And when they bump into each other, they deform each other's electron clouds. Okay. And that causes a partial positive and a partial negative to affect one another and make them stick to each other. And nonpolar molecules, this is the only attractive forces that they will ever experience. So if you're a nonpolar organic molecule and you come up against something extremely polar, you don't even really know it's there unless you actually bump into it and you get your electron clouds deformed. But if you're a polar molecule, then you have a permanent dipole. So you have repulsive factors, you have attractive factors. And if you want to compare repulsion to attraction, attraction always wins out. So if you take a bunch of magnets and put them in a box and shake it all up and throw it across the room and go look at it, you're going to find all the magnets stuck to each other. Then there's hydrogen bonds, and then there's ion, the dipole attractions. So anyway, if you understand all this stuff, you can then understand the behavior of a molecule like ammonia. Here's a molecule like acetone, right? Why does acetone dissolve in water? Well, there's an attractive force there. What kind of attractive force? Dipolar. So anyway, like I said, I taught biochemistry for a long time, and then I taught organic chemistry for a long time. And that was a good thing because I then understood why students do so poorly in organic chemistry. And the two factors are they don't know how to do Lewis structures and they don't get attractive forces. That's why they're in here as a review for you. I didn't cause you to have any other questions.
I had a quick question. For the exam portion, what kind of questions will you have? Is it multiple choice or short answers, or it's just based off of the homework layout?
Yeah, kind of based off of the homework. Like say, what am I looking at here? The content. If you look at the homework, you'll see it changes quite a bit. Let's just look at one of these over here. So this is from chapter 30. So this is, like a multiple choice thing, but you have to look at the organic chemistry and actually understand what type of reaction is this so that you can determine what is the class of enzyme that this catalyzes this reaction. Two, over here should be another one. So this is stereochemistry. Trying to find one that has some chemical reactions in it. Yeah, so it's like this. So here's the reactants and the arrow. What is the product? That kind of a thing. So you actually have to draw the product. That makes sense?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because the level of organic chemistry that we do at this class, it's not difficult, but it's different than what you do in organic chemistry. So what I've concentrated on in this course is basically the chemical reactions that are important in biology, ones that are catalyzed by enzymes. And so I don't bother with mechanism too much, except when the mechanism guides you into how to get the right answer. Whereas in organic chemistry, it's all about mechanism, right? And all these weird non-biological catalysts, like, sodium perchlorate at 200 degrees for 2 hours. That's not going to work in a cell. Yeah, so I just hope that you guys start posting in the discussions and actually continue to come to the Q&A sessions so you don't get lost. Very easy to get overwhelmed by the organic chemistry. So I've had many students who've never had organic chemistry and they struggle at the beginning of this course, but by the time they're done and they go take organic chemistry 272, 273, they kill it because they have the basics down really well. And then I've had many students tell me, oh, I took organic chemistry, but yours really makes it make more sense. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. It's all about the perspective. Any questions on anything? Like meaning of life? Um, raising kids?
If no one joins the Q&As, are you gonna sign off early or are you gonna stay on till a certain time?
What I usually do is I leave it on and I wander off and do yard work or something else or look at emails or something else. But yeah, I leave it on. It's actually open from 4 till 5:30.
I just wanted to double check if I can join on later.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm also teaching a Chemistry 100 online, but they're at the point where they don't come to Q&A sessions anymore. They did in the beginning and now they don't. So yeah, later on I'll just open it up so there's from 4 to 5, I think, and then you guys were 4:30 to 5:30. And remember last year, I was doing the same thing, teaching multiple courses, and I didn't overlap them. And then I'm just waiting by the computer for no reason for all those hours. So anyway, I kind of overlapped them a little bit just fine. But even if it's 5:30 and people still have questions, I'll still stay on. Yeah. But because you're not asking questions, I probably will stop the recording and I'll just stay on.